So, hello, good morning. I'm live on YouTube. So, I was going to do a video on Thursday and do a live Zoom on Tuesdays, but I'll just do a YouTube instead. I didn't have time to prepare anything else, so I just thought I'd do a YouTube today and then do a Zoom. Hopefully, a Zoom YouTube combined on Tuesday, and I'll make sure that I leave enough time to test it and try it beforehand. So, yeah. It's a YouTube alone today. So, welcome to the Non-Duality YouTube talk event meeting. So please use chat if you'd like to ask anything or share anything, or you can use Skype. I think I have my Skype name in the below the video. I'm not sure. I'll write it in here. It's Rebekah Maroon, my Skype. Skype name Rebekah Maroon. Curly in brackets. So feel free to either message or call on there or to message on the chat. The title is Who is the Chooser? Was it? Who is this chooser? Who is this chooser? And that was spurred on through talking to somebody yesterday about religion, and it was actually really lovely to talk about religion with this person, and to like be able to share that love and that joy, and maybe I do have different experience and a different story, but I could still, what was enjoyable, I could still resonate, and I could still resonate with her love and her passion and her I could resonate with that, which felt really lovely. And yet I didn't need to I got to express my joy, my love, and my energy, but I didn't need to or want to express anything about non-duality at all, but just to connect with that resonance, which I think is really beautiful. And yeah, it's really beautiful. But it made this title come because it was like some of their ideas made me think of this title, I suppose. This idea that we are separate human beings, and we choose, and we have this free will, and we are independent, and that's the way their religion is. But it was just where I differed, I suppose. And it's actually really beautiful to have spoken about it to her, or to listen to her. Really, I spoke a little bit, but I didn't go into anything hardcore. But it was really lovely and useful as well to speak to somebody about these types of things. So the title is Who is this chooser? Just such a strong idea that there is independent individuals. Such a strong idea. And so while there was a relating or a resonance in our love, in our passion, uh, the stark difference was this idea of there being individuals, there being actual individual people with that free will and that choice to make good or bad decisions, to make good or bad choices. And that obviously runs through that religion. Yeah. So while I enjoyed our ability to connect beyond difference and be able to share our love and passion, yeah, non-duality is something that is in my view really beautiful in that it's not talking about this, it's different to that. And yeah, it just kind of renewed back my passion and my like, oh, this is so beautiful that this is not talking about question, or it's questioning that idea and illusion of separate individuality. I couldn't, and I wouldn't ever impose that on anybody I spoke to. But I get to speak about it here. Non-duality. Okay, so who is this chooser? Is the title. I just think it's the most beautifulest thing to uncover or come across, this questioning of everything. Ultimately, this questioning and that is not a question that is even considered in most, or if not all, areas of human life. This questioning of our fundamental idea that we are separate, there are separate individual people. That we are separate individual people. It's just taken as is, and then from that, everything else is built around that idea. And so in non-duality, or Advaita or Zen maybe, as well, other different types of things like that, there is a looking at this apparent person and a looking at the reality or the validity of it. It's a pulling apart of this idea or an examining of this idea of you, of a person, and if it holds true, if it is the reality. It's a very challenging proposition or thing to talk about or question. Because it hasn't been considered that that person who you think you are, who you think all others are, what you think this is, isn't what you think, isn't what you imagine, isn't what you're told, isn't what you believe, isn't what you've heard. It's such a fundamental challenge to all of that. Particularly if you're new to the subject, when you first hear about it, it can be quite amazing and exciting, but also it is a challenging thing. If not for all people to hear, like, to question. Your sense of self is being questioned. What you hold on to be true and real and a truth is being questioned. A lot of anger, confusion, pain, fear obviously comes up in that. A lot of joy also, and relief. So who is this chooser? What is this chooser? Can you hear me okay? I just had a few beeps. Oh no, it's not. Okay. So I thought I had more to say about that, but it turns out I don't. It turns out I don't. Like in speaking to that religious person, I wouldn't. We were having discourse, we were talking, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't dream of asking her like, or him, like, who would choose or not choose to. What were they saying? Like they were saying, like, yeah, like they preach the word, and then people can choose to, follow or not or whatever, and it's like their choice and their responsibility if they follow this truth or not, and yeah, that's where it kind of like forked up a little bit, and I felt it, but I wouldn't. I just wouldn't ask. I wouldn't ask them like, well, who would choose? Who's the chooser, or who would choose to follow or not follow? I would never do that. But it was so clear, like what their interpretation of things is, and it just felt so beautiful. It just felt so beautiful that wasn't the way I see it, or that wasn't the way it felt here. It felt different here. It didn't feel like that there were people that could choose to follow or not follow, or it just felt so different. It just feels so different, like such a heart opening. Like, it's so beautiful, this message, what's being spoken about, this possibility. But it's like, yeah, it's so beautiful. Like, you can't really argue it. You can't argue it. I couldn't like argue it or bring out my book and this is what my teaching or my book is saying, and do that kind of battling thing where, a lot of us do in religion, and we kind of battle our ideas and our beliefs. But yeah, it's just so beautiful to know non-duality, let's say, to be familiar with non-duality and to be familiar with an alternative experience of this. Like, yeah, it's just so beautiful, and it really inspired me to speak, and not to them about this, but just to speak about non-duality. And so what is being spoken about here, it can't be like, say, proven, but neither can that religion. But I just mean like, the proof, if you like, is right here at the same time. It's like, it's not needed. They don't need to bring out scripture, or like, I have this to back it up, or this to, like, it's right here. It's what is. It's right here. This beauty. I could feel they knew that. I could feel their teaching was saying that in a way, but I could also see where like, yeah, like where that belief and the mind-made structure is in place, and how it makes it different. But yeah, I don't know. I just enjoy being able to connect. Yeah, and to be humbled as well. yeah, to be humbled as well, like in hearing their interpretation, their teaching, their scripture, whatever. Really humbled, really humbled. Like any kind of beliefs that I know better, or my truth, or my ideas are better. Really humble when you hear somebody else expressing their truth, their view, their experience, their teaching. It was really humbling, really beautiful, really beautiful. That vulnerability, that not believing you know better than um, what you believe is better than what you experience is better than somebody else's. Really, yeah. I just feel moved by it. Very moved. So, in non-duality, what is being what word is it? What is being put forward, or um, yeah, whatever word it is. What is I can't find the word. What is being is a losing of everything. There's a possibility of losing everything. Of losing everything. There's a possibility of losing everything. Which may sound to the mind like a negative thing. It may sound to the body like a fearful thing. And that's okay. But that's what's being put forward. This possibility of losing everything. The possibility of losing everything. And that is what is wanted ultimately. That is what is wanted. This freedom, this naturalness, And then in a way that leaves room that leaves room for everything. That then leaves room for everything. Which again is what is wanted. Everything. Which you could exchange for love, wholeness, everything. Oh. Hi, Osborne. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. And that is what is wanted, and it's available. It's right here. It's what this is. It's just that this idea, it's more than an idea, but this idea of individual people in individualness, of autonomy, of being someone, of being this separate person, like that is then what is the experience. That's what's focused on. That's what the experience is. And that's where the idea of progression, of getting to whatever it is, time, lives. Maybe that's why I couldn't speak to that person about this, because it was already based in time. It was already about individual people, already in that dream. And so while there was an ability to connect beyond that, in love, in what you may call truth, in or passion for this subject, there wasn't it was not necessary to at least the way it feels here, it's not necessary to mention anything else. It was just that was enough, that connection. And we disagree and diverge in terms of how we communicate, what we how we see things, but it would be impossible to speak to a person about not a person or about this. It's like the way it's communicated is from that. It's from that what already is, not a person. And so like it's screaming, it's already screaming. It's so beautiful. So who is this chooser? So talk about choosing. So there appears to be this ability. If I was to say to somebody, who's the chooser, they would say, well, I am. I chose to come here. I chose to speak. I chose to wear this morning. So there does seem to be that appearance of choice. There's a choice being made of this over that. There's a movement to this over a movement to that. There does appear to be a chooser, an ability to choose. So when speaking about who is this chooser, it's not saying there isn't a seeming chooser, there isn't an ability to choose. That's very clearly, obvious that there does seem to be a choice being made. But what is being pointed to and looked at here and questioned is who is making that choice. So who is, or how is that choice appearing? The choice of having a drink, or looking out the window, moving the hand. We don't tend to claim all the things. We just sum it up and say, "Oh, I did it," but we don't actually choose every little, or think we choose every little thing. But we just sum it up and go, "Oh, I must have chosen to turn my head that way, or move my hand, or reach for the." We assume and claim that is me. I chose that. I think we've been taught that. We've been taught that's your responsibility. You are someone, and you are in control of this body, of this form. And so it begins to actually take on, like, it's just the whole society's confirming it, everyone's confirming it. It begins to feel that way. And so it's such a deep, strong assumption that becomes an energetic expression, an energetic experience, deeply, deeply, deeply believed in. And so to question that is a bit, how can you even question that? But nevertheless, there's a drawing to hear this, there's a drawing or a resonance with this potential being spoken, this alternative being spoken. The collapsing of that, or the possibility of the collapsing of that idea, belief. This examining, this ripping apart. Of this held on to belief, energetic belief. That what's been looked for, desperately looked for, has always been here, can only be here. It's what is choosing, it's what is living, it's what is looking, what is doing. Right here, the only place it can be, the only place there is. that can be very frightening and very threatening. And yet somewhere there's a celebration. This celebration of that which seemed to be lost, seemed to be missing. And the revelation that it's actually not. Yeah. So beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, so feel free to ask any questions on Skype or on the chat. Put myself online on Skype. Be in the receptive mode. Oh, I'm already online. I didn't know. Nice to see you. I remember hearing such a question from various teachers, like who was it? Who am I, or who are you, or however it's phrased. Yeah, who am I, wasn't it? Who am I? Yeah. And yeah, I remember like feeling like there was beauty in it, but then the mind would be very much scrambling to find the answer to that. It can activate, like the mind gets really hooked onto that and tries to find the answer. But in asking what I've asked, what did I say? Well, who is this chooser? It isn't a question being posed to the mind. So it's worth mentioning that it's not a question posed to the mind. It's not a question for the intellect to report an answer to. It's not a question like that. So in a there's no questions coming through. In a talk like this, such as this, the mind can be very agitated. A lot of body discomfort can occur along with that. The mind can be scrambling to grab onto something, to hold something. There's like a burning up that happens in non-duality. That burning up. Oops. I like the sound of the clock. Yeah, you can hear it, can't you? Yeah. This is all that's wanted. This is all that's wanted. Okay. So I will definitely make sure I test and try the whole Zoom to YouTube streaming thing before Tuesday. And yes, I shall see you Tuesday at 11ish for the Zoom YouTube. Lots of love. Bye.